What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set.
What's up, everybody? We are back together. The bros are back together this week. It's been a couple weeks of doing some solo episodes, but we're finally back. I'm here with my brother, Jim Green. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Anth. What's up, everybody? It's great to be back with my bro, Anthony, here. It doesn't feel like it's only been 3 weeks.
Right.
Like, it feels like it's been way longer. I think just with the summer and so many different things are happening right now. It feels like it's been longer since we've been on last, which is so weird. It's only been a few weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
You covered last week and I did the week before, and 3 weeks ago was our last recording together. But even at that, like, what did we talk about 3 weeks ago?
Like, trying to put that in my head, I'm like, I really don't remember at that point, but I know we were, getting into the fact that we're going to be hopefully doing some Money in the Bank talk, but we ended up, not being together for that. But we were, on the same page with a lot of our predictions as what I was kind of talking last week with everybody. We were kind of, I would think my predictions were, pretty level with what you were. And we always usually go, if not the same, there's always one or two matches that we're like, all right, just so we're not totally the same, like, I'm going to pick this guy just to make it interesting. So I felt we probably would have done that with the Priest and Seth match.
Yep.
And we're going to do our, little post show here with Money in the Bank, just go over the card real quick. And then we are going to go into our House of the Dragon mid-season review. We saw episode 4 last night. Oh my god, that was a crazy ending. What a mid-season drop. And I'm glad it's only 8 episodes, but I'm glad it's to the point where they're just doing all 8 in a row, and you're not getting 4 and then a couple weeks of a break and then another 4.
Yeah, no thanks. Especially it takes them 2 years to make a season of 8 episodes because of all of the dragon editing that they have to do.
Especially,
which I will go into later.
Definitely.
When we get to that, Anthony and I said last night after the episode, after we watched it, we were like, we have to talk about this tomorrow night.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for weeks, but after seeing that episode, we're like, dude, it's got to be this week. Got to get it out. Got to definitely talk about it, because the whole season so far has been great, but that episode really got me jumping to the point where I'm like, dude, we got to definitely talk a little bit of House of the Dragon. It's been a while since we really had a big Game of Thrones House of the Dragon type of discussion. So I'm stoked to kind of talk about that, and we'll start with talking a little bit about the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Even that, we'll start from the match started out, the way the card went. So men's Money in the Bank, let's go. Obviously at this point there's spoilers all over, so if you haven't watched, go watch the pay-per-view, come back and watch this. But you had Drew winning the Money in the Bank, which I was okay with. That was my first number one.
I was I was off the grid away.
Mm-hmm.
So if the internet wants to cooperate out in the mountains, I would have gotten to watch it, but it was not. Which is it's fine. I was catching the results as they were coming through, just because if I didn't keep up with it, I would have ran into them anyway, just scrolling, because people, it's just the way of it.
Right.
And then I think it was the show ended around 10. I think around
10:20, 10:25.
I think around midnight I finally got the whole show to roll through. And that being said, I think it was because I was streaming the show while it was live, that it was definitely like a lot harder for the internet to manage it. So because the show was full and I was just watching a replay, I think that that's why I was able to finally play it after it was fully uploaded. Um, and believe me if you want or not, I had the CM Punk screwing Drew. I mean, it was just written on the wall, man. I mean, I kind of I kind of didn't want it to go down that way because I don't love the briefcase being exhausted as soon as it's won.
Yeah, I did not see that come. I did not think Drew would have cashed in that night, but then obviously talking about him saying like, "Oh, I'm going to win the match, and then that night I'm going to become," but that didn't really come into mind when I was doing the review. But the fact that he did come out and with the botch that Drew or Priest did, which we'll get into it during the match, I kind of think they I mean, I'm sure they probably were going to go with Drew going out there and making it a triple threat, but I think since they needed something to just get everybody's mind off the fact that Priest just totally effed up that little spot there, like, okay, Drew, get out there. So, uh, you know, I didn't even think about him cashing in that night, nor did I think about CM Punk. I would have thought, like I said, I would have thought he would have been coming in the Money in the Bank match, costing him the Money in the Bank briefcase more than costing him, his cash in. Because once he started cashing in, I'm like, oh God, here we go. This is where it's gonna be. CM Punk's gonna come out and it's gonna cost him the match. Yep,
It's going to spoil the cash
yep.
in. Yeah, that was basically where I was at with it. And I don't know. I think I think overall because we've had um I guess Priest was like, the longer reigning, okay, one Money in the Bank in, I don't know if it was June or July last year. And
Yeah,
then he cashed in at WrestleMania. So he had the briefcase for the season for
forever. Yeah.
for a good length of time.
hmm
And the year before that was Austin Theory's briefcase. And
hmm Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencaster. Zencaster is the ultimate based podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layered backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencaster's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience as we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
waste,
Definitely,
waste,
definitely.
waste. Okay. But I think that they were in a position in that time where, I mean, Roman was on his long run.
hmm
This was when Theory had the briefcase, right?
Correct.
So I think it just, Vince was still in control. So I think he was just kind of like, all right, let's just have him cash in. And he just kind of threw his hands up about it and was like, this was a mistake. But at the same time, nobody was successfully cashing in on Roman anyway. Like
No,
that wasn't happening. That's not the way Roman was losing his long title reign at that
definitely
time.
not.
You get last year with Priest. Um, and again, it was like at that time, there wasn't a new world heavyweight championship yet. So That literally came, I think, a month or two later. And by two, I mean, if Money in the Bank was in June, then I think the World Heavyweight title match was in Saudi Arabia, maybe in July.
Yeah, I don't really remember at the top of my head.
We got a nice long reign with Priest holding on to the briefcase for a while, so I kind of get it. And you also have the women's Money in the Bank briefcase where, and we'll get to who's holding it now and who won the match,
Mhm.
but they have the the women's Money in the Bank briefcase that they can carry the briefcase storyline out with that
Mhm.
with that division. So it's not like back when you know Dean Ambrose won the briefcase and Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns
Mhm.
at Money in the Bank, and then Dean Ambrose
Cashed in
cashed
that
in
night.
and won the
Yeah.
title. That was apparently all just to say, hey, the members of the Shield all held the title all on the same night within minutes of each
Right.
other. Um, and a lot of people hated on that because it was like, now we have no briefcase because they just exhausted it on the night that it was won.
Mhm.
But um, but we got Dean Ambrose with the title for the first time. I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
Um, I'm pretty sure that was his first title
I
run.
think so.
I'm pretty sure, and that was back. That was 8 years ago now. Just crazy to think
Yeah,
about,
man.
like
Time.
how long ago that
Time.
was, right? Yep. Anyway, back to I. I definitely had Drew winning because I knew CM Punk was gonna screw him one way or another. If if he got screwed out of the briefcase itself, like not winning the
Mhm.
briefcase, um, I think writing on the wall was Jey Uso was getting it.
Yep, that was my second. That if Drew was going to get screwed over by Punk, or if Chad Gable was going to get taken out by Wyatt Six, somehow I had Jay written on the wall. If I had to pick somebody else outside of those three, I would have given something like LA Knight. But at that point, LA Knight is like under. So like he still has a little bit of hype to him, but
He's still in the mid card.
yeah,
He's
he
definitely in the
still
mid
has a
card.
good thing going for him, but I think the hype on him and actually getting those chances right now are on the back burner, but he's still doing good in the mid card. So,
Yeah, and Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, again, they always tend to have a couple guys in there as like a test to see if they can
yeah.
hang with the
And
bigger
Andrade and
guys in the
Carmella had a
ring.
really big spot during that match too. So there were a decent amount of good spots in the match. I mean, it like they always at least have a like a spot of the night, which we'll talk about in the women's. That was like spot central, which we'll give our honorary things on that. But the men's match was, I mean, nothing out of like spectacular things. Like there were a couple good spots that like, oh, okay, we haven't seen or haven't seen in a bit, but there wasn't anything that was like out from like nowhere, because we've seen like certain spots with ladder matches and briefcase matches and everything. But yeah, I didn't really find it as like match of the night contender.
It's not like I want to go back and rewatch
Yeah,
it. I would go back and rewatch the women's match again because it
yeah. If
was
if there was between the women's and the men's, I would definitely watch the women's again. That was incredible.
yeah, that was because like I said, I started watching from the beginning of the show at midnight.
Hmm.
So I think I got to the women's match, which was the co-main event. Um, and I was like, okay, I know who wins this. Skipped over it and watched the last match and was like falling asleep
Hmm.
through it. So I woke up this morning, actually watched the match, and then I told you after I got home last night. I was like, yeah, I just haven't watched the women's match yet. And you're like, you got to do
I
that.
was like, out of anything, and there's not many times that I tell you to go watch a women's match. So I'm like, yeah, this is good. And when Michael Cole and Corey Graves at the end of it are saying we got to give like our props to the girls, just killing it in that ladder match, you know that like, okay, you got to go back and watch this match.
Overall, men's Money in the Bank match, for what it's worth, it was fine. I don't. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to feel more from Jey Uso, and I think it's because I know that they want to push him as main event Jey Uso, and I love all of the stuff that they're doing with him and his entrance and coming through the
Yeah.
arena. Like, I think a few weeks ago he came through the stands and he was trying to cut a promo on why he was going to be Mr. Yeet in the bank, and he was just botching his line so bad. I was like, yeah, he's not winning
Yeah.
now.
I mean, my personal opinion, I thought if he's not winning this, what do you do with him? Because, they've been trying to do this whole, bring him up and get the crowd behind him and everything, but then he keeps losing these important matches. So, I mean, I know we're eventually getting, Jimmy and Jay, they're eventually going to be coming back together. So I think eventually Jay is going to be getting back to the tag team scene, getting back into the bloodline with Roman and Jimmy and everybody. That whole thing's going to come into fruition. Probably, I would say after SummerSlam, closer into the fall. I think we get something, around SummerSlam.
We're getting the War Game match. I mean,
That has to
there's
happen.
there's no way that's not happening.
Definitely has to
right?
happen.
So I think the Roman return is it's I want to say it's almost totally guaranteed.
It's on
for
the
SummerSlam,
horizon
right?
at
Like,
some point.
yeah, and I think with SummerSlam being in Cleveland, and I think this is their first. I'd have to go back and look, but I think this is their first like football stadium size SummerSlam. I'd have to look.
Yeah.
Maybe when we jump into the next match and you're chatting about that, I'll just look it up real quick. But I'm pretty sure this is the first stadium Wait, no, because when Bailey returned and then started Damage
That's right.
Control, they were in Nashville at the Titans
Yeah.
Stadium. Okay, so not the first one, but I think that being in Cleveland, and it's not dogging on Cleveland here, but when you host these big events in a city that's not like a major attraction city, you're not going to get as many people taking a trip to Ohio in August for any other reason than SummerSlam itself. When it happens in Nashville,
Everybody.
there's
Yeah.
tons to do in Nashville, right? When you have it, because they've done it at the Barclays Center a few times. It's in New York.
Right.
Come on. Like,
it's New York.
It's New York. So yeah, so now I don't have to look at that. Let's move on here. Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker.
Title.
This is when I'd actually gotten back from being out for the day. Tried to throw in the pay-per-view and it was glitching all the way through. But the moments where it wasn't glitching and I was watching, I was like, this match is like not doing it for me. I was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if like, I think it's because I knew how great Sami Zayn and Jey Uso were when they were involved with the Bloodline. Like, a year and some change ago when they were involved in the main event of night one at WrestleMania 39. They were like must see on my TV. When I saw them on my TV, I was like, okay, some good stuff is coming here. Now that they're on their own. I mean, Sammy did cut a promo tonight that tried to say like, hey, I'm not the underdog. Like, I'm a champion here. Like, and he tried to like really stand tall. And then Braun Breaker just comes out. Again, Sami Zayn wins the match. Just getting off track here. Sammy wins the match. I I can't wait to see Braun Breaker just get so much better and better because he's already like he has star potential. Like
Yeah.
it's going to happen. Um I don't know why like he didn't get a spear in on Sammy in the match at Money in the Bank. Not that I remember.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch it again.
I don't think that he hit Sammy with the spear at all. He did hit him with his um like his top rope Hurricanrana thing that he does where
Yeah.
he goes here, which is fantastic. Um I don't he definitely botched that the 1 week. I forget who it was against, and it was scary stuff. It was within the last month. Any rate,
Dude, I've been getting this annoying itching feeling under my armpits from the deodorants I've been trying and using, and I can't seem to find something that works for me.
Have you ever tried maybe like a natural deodorant?
Natural deodorant? No. Are you insane?
No, but I am wild.
oh, Wild is the UK's #1 natural deodorant company that focuses on performance, sustainability, and style.
Their mission is to clean up the bathrooms by leaving it free of ugly, single-use plastic bottles and unnecessary chemicals.
You know why Wild is great? Because it actually works and it's eco-friendly and contains over 98.5% natural ingredients.
They have a fully sustainable design with aluminum cases that last for a lifetime, plus biodegradable, recyclable refills. And you know what's cool? They can actually imprint your name on these aluminum cases for a small additional fee.
Wild is super convenient with flexible subscription options or paying as one-off purchases. And you can customize your order by choosing your case, color, and various scent combinations. I know I have the Ocean Mist, the fresh cotton and sea salt, and the orange and neroli flavors, and they all smell super great. And what's best about them is they don't just wear off immediately, and then all of a sudden you smell like BO.
Yeah, I've been rocking the sandalwood and patchouli scent right now. And again, great scent, lasts like throughout the day, that you're pretty much protected throughout the day. And I also was able to try the mint and aloe vera. Big aloe vera fan, right on point, long lasting, and you can look forward to these cases and scents in a limited edition every month.
Go Wild today with a special discount of 25% off your first order when you get the code OneSetPod at checkout. Go to wearewild.com and use the code OneSetPod at checkout and enjoy.
The match itself, again, like you said, was pretty like meh. There was some good some good times around it, but again, I thought Braun Breaker was gonna come out and just beat the hell out of him. But I thought it was just gonna be very one sided. But then I realized, oh wait, it's in Canada. Why are they not gonna give it to Sammy? So I'm like, well, that pretty much screwed me over. So I'm like, all right, well, Sammy's probably gonna get this win somehow since he's in his hometown for the weekend. Or at least if not in his hometown, he's at least in Canada. So
Yeah, he's
yeah.
in his home country. Yeah, because they did the Elimination Chamber in Montreal leading into Mania 39, which is where he had the match against Roman,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, there's no way he's going to win.
So that's probably them just like, all right, well, we're sorry about that one. We'll give it to you this time. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were probably like, all right, let's not end Sammy's reign so soon because then it really makes him look weak. The fact that he could beat Gunther at WrestleMania, but then just loses to Braun Breaker first try. Like, so I understood that. I kind of like where they're going with it, that like what we saw on Raw tonight where Braun just took him out. I will say he speared Sammy twice tonight on Raw, and I don't know if it was Sammy wasn't ready or if he was just trying not to sell it
I
correctly. I was
missed the
just like,
first spear because
these
all,
spears.
all I saw was them talking, and then Sammy was on the ground. I'm like, what happened? I mean, I knew he did some type of spear, but he must have just. I'm not sure if he backed up and then speared him, or just out from like them being like face to face, and he just went like bam.
Yeah, I think Sammy was just too close to the rope that Braun like had to basically jump into the spear early, and Sammy just had to kind of be like,
Ugh.
"Eh, and then um Braun breaks away from like the security and Adam Pearce and all them, runs around the ring and goes to get him for the second one. And I was like, okay, this one
Yeah.
better be way better than the first one.
No,
It wasn't.
no,
It
didn't
wasn't.
connect. Didn't connect the right way.
And I was like, okay, just like Jey Uso not winning Money in the Bank, Sami Zayn
Yeah,
losing that belt. Yeah.
he probably should have given it to the other person, but hey, well, yes, like again, the match was like okay. Again, I would say the Money in the Bank was better than that match too.
Oh yeah, that match, Sammy and Braun, was the worst match on the card.
But
Easy.
Sammy gets to remain champion. Nothing wrong with it. I'm good with it. So, I mean, unless you have anything else to say, we can move on to the next one.
Well, I think the next one, which isn't listed on the card,
That's
because
right.
it
Yeah,
was
the
a
John
segment,
Cena
was
retirement. So yeah,
was
I mean, of course. So we had
yeah,
talk. Of course,
of course,
got to talk
of
about that a
course.
little bit. So, yeah. So Cena is retiring, but not yet. 2025 will be the farewell tour. Uh, the last time is now. So it's almost like a this is it. So every time I hear that, I get scared. I'm like, please don't let something happen. Like, but it looks pretty cool. I mean, and the fact that he's willing to do that because he knows wrestling is in a big boom. So he's like, hey, I want to contribute to this and give it my all for one more year. And what did he say? He has like 30 to 40 dates already picked out for next year. So we're getting a lot of time with Cena next year.
Yeah, he's gonna be at
Yeah,
basically every
that's
PLE.
what I figured at the fact that he's going to be at every PLE and at least doing something.
He's gonna be on more than Roman Reigns was when he was the champion. Let's just, which is like crazy when you think like, okay, Roman was holding the belt for over 1,000 days or 1,300 days, and you have John Cena coming in, and he's like the greatest of all time apparently, and like that they're all calling him that, and I'm like, okay, um, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action. I think it's pretty great because you're going to get him basically every other week guaranteed, if not missing only once every 3 weeks, kind of thing. Or if he is taken out for storyline and he's gone for a month to do something, you're basically going to get him
Mm-hmm.
every other week in some capacity, which is just crazy to think we're getting John Cena in 2024 and 5
Right.
almost every week. That's wild to think. But it's pretty cool. Just considering, yeah, wrestling is in a big boom, especially TKO merging
Mm-hmm.
WWE, UFC. There's clearly way more money in it than there ever was. So if you want to fork over the bag to put John Cena on, he's going to be on Netflix basically every week for at least the first 6 months, I'd
Least.
say, and then maybe you scale him back a little bit.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like how they went to SmackDown for, uh, Fox. They had to bring in, some of the big people to kind of get people's eyes on the product, and then they kind of scaled it down. So they're going to get some decent amount of people to bring people into the Netflix world, and then that'll kind of just die down as the months go by. But the fact that we're going to be getting, like you said, Cena most likely almost every week, every other week, and you're thinking that, I mean, there's 12 months to the year, 30, 40 dates, again, that's leading to at least every pay-per-view. So, yeah.
they're going to be sold out
Oh
like
yeah.
all the time. No tarping off the
Yeah.
sections on the hard cam side.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Ever. It's almost like a huge like
Whoopsie. We'll
Tony
definitely have
Khan.
to see if they run
Like,
through Philly
seriously?
next year. Because if they run through Philly, we might have to go see Cena one last time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do another live broadcast. We'll see. Because I mean, again, not that I mean, hey, I'm not that it was one of the ones saying like, you know, I'm not a fan of Cena. When I started watching back around WrestleMania 28, 29, he was wrestling The Rock. So I'm like, all right, this guy has to be on some type of level if he's facing The Rock. And then started really getting into a lot of his back character. Like, okay, he was a champion. He did the championship reign and everything. So, you know, to see a guy that's been going through like 2 decades of WWE and everything like post attitude, because everything from post attitude era was pretty much John Cena for most of those couple years, which we missed out on, or at least I know I missed out on a lot of it.
You were
Yeah.
gone from it. I was like
Yeah.
mildly paying attention here and there. Which we've always kind of go back to when we talk wrestling and like our fandom as wrestling fans. Yeah, I think having John Cena on TV almost every week on Netflix, where they're not going to have to worry about language, like it's going to be really interesting because, you know, he probably he almost definitely saw uh Dwayne coming in and basically being this monster heel. And I'm like, okay, do we finally get like Cena as a heel at any time on his way out? I mean, I'm like, if he does, he's basically just posing
Yeah,
off the
he was
Rock,
saying.
right?
I think somebody asked him that in the post show after Money in the Bank, and I think he said it kind of makes sense at this point, but you never know. I mean, you never know what type of creative they might think. You know, he's gonna have a full year, so a couple months of a heel ain't gonna be much of a bad deal. He was saying that it's probably not in the best interest since it's kind of goes against what his whole character is about. But again, who knows? It's the last ride. He might do a couple months of like a heel turn just to get like a little something out of it, and then at the end, you know, he gets the baby face, you know, goodbye and everything. He's not going to end on a heel, so he's gonna get the big standing O with everybody. But you never know. We'll see what creative has in store for him, because he obviously had to been working out something with Paul and everybody for the last couple months in order for him to really, you know, start getting something working on this.
Haven't really seen him doing much in Hollywood.
No,
Not that
unless
I
it's like
see.
little small things,
Other
more like
other than
commercials
other
and
than
like
the
little small things here and there, but no movies. Yeah,
yeah, the Honda
yeah,
commercials, I hear him in all the time now. But and I mean, he's like in the Fast franchise now,
that
which
too.
Fast 10 is apparently like a 3-part finale,
Yeah,
is last I heard. Because he was like the lead in F9, I think, and then he was
yeah,
in 10, I'm pretty sure. Not I haven't seen
yeah. I
any
haven't
like
seen
either of
any of them
them.
in a while. It's been a while since I actually saw like a Fast and Furious
Yeah,
movie.
I I'm kind of like, all right, wrap up the whole series, and then I'll just
Yeah,
watch
like
all of them.
it's kind of, I've never seen Lost, but I'm like, okay, wrap this shit up. Like, come on, like we know you're lost. How many seasons until like people just are like, okay, we're lost. Eventually, people are gonna die out. So my thing from last week was saying that I thought Damien was gonna keep it, because I felt it's still too early. Seth just came back. He doesn't necessarily need to win the title, so I'm okay with Priest winning it. But I didn't expect what happened to happen. I thought you know, it probably could have just been a clean match and he just wins outright. I'm fine with it. Because you could just get them later down the line, which is kind of how we saw on Raw tonight. that they're just gonna kind of keep away from each other until a certain point when he's kind of gone through a couple, reigns, and he's like, hey, I think he was saying that once I get past Gunther, if you want a shot, let me know. I'll take you on any time. They shook hands, so I mean, we'll see what happens, but it looks like Damian might go over, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just gotta say this really, really, in my opinion, was Damian Priest's chance to prove himself to me. Um, I mean, you're in the ring with Seth Rollins, who is the one of the best dance partners in the ring that you can have, right? So, to not put on a stellar match just really has me feeling like, yeah, no, Damian's watching his video package promo from Raw was cringe because of how much that he was blinking, and the fact that they were cutting from straight on cam to angle side cam to straight. They were flipping back and forth with it so much. I'm like, how many takes did they have to like get Damian to get a successful video package? Whereas someone that's holding the world heavyweight title should be doing backstage video packages. They should be
Yeah,
handling their shit in the ring. That's just,
exactly.
I mean, come on, you're the
Yeah,
champion,
I felt the same
right?
way. That
So I I really like Damian overall. I liked him better without the title. Like I like him better as like, yeah, no, I'm the leader of the Judgment Day. And I think that they were testing him as the leader of the Judgment Day to see if he could own up to being a leader before, they decided, okay, we're gonna have him successfully cash in and just give him a little run, see how he does. Um, I think if he were bound to hold the title for longer, then I would be like, yeah, no, this Damian Priest Gunther match, I can't tell which way it's going. It's literally, if Gunther doesn't win, there's some screwy finish that gets Damian to keep the belt. Like that's the only way for me. Damian's botched kick out was the icing on the cake for everything that I just said. By the way, you can't be world champion and botch a kick out. That to me was like, just like Jey Uso botching his lines, just like Sami Zayn taking that briefcase.
we're just gonna put all this
Gunther's
into that
winning.
box and just put it in away and just keep it away. Yeah,
just set on fire. Like
yeah.
pretend it never
Yeah,
happened.
that's
Right?
got like you said it right on the nail that you can't be a champion of any sort and botch like a 3 count. You know, even the ref was like, "You're not getting up," like because he didn't do the whole third count. He went to do the third and actually counted out of it, but he's saying Damon's not getting up. Like, okay, that's not my fault. Like,
And then Seth tried to make it like, oh yeah,
right.
the ref
And then
messed
in
up the
comes
count.
Drew. So
Trying
I feel Gorilla's always like, all right, Drew, get out there before they start like turning on this crowd here, and so I think that ended up turning into the triple threat. Again, I would have never thought at that point before that. I didn't think CM Punk was really going to be involved in the pay-per-view unless it was in the Money in the Bank. So once Drew won, I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't think he was going to be involved into the Seth and Drew match, but now Punk has got many targets on his back because one, you can tell Damian Priest was already pissed about the botch and how he did in the performance. You could see on his face with the camera shot. And also, it's the second time that CM Punk has got involved with one of his matches too. Not necessarily blatantly to him, but being involved in one of his opponents. And Seth Rollins, being we know the future feud they might have, future food, yeah, nice,
future food.
tasty. The future
Nice tasty
the
food.
future feud that they are most likely going to have. They had a promo on Raw tonight, and you know, that's just more solidifying that we're going to get something with Seth and Punk down the line too. Because he was going off the fact that everything doesn't have to be about you. Just let it up and everything. So, and now obviously we're still going to be getting Drew and Punk. That's going to be probably solved at SummerSlam, hopefully, because they're just pretty much giving Punk TV time while he's officially healing up and being cleared. I mean, because they haven't declared him cleared yet, right? Or they cleared him just if he's going to go to SummerSlam, they cleared him for SummerSlam. But I don't think they did any type of clearing at all yet.
He's not clear, and I think the reason that they went with the Drew McIntyre going absolutely ballistic in the post show, cracking at Adam Pearson, getting suspended, was just so that they could write Drew off TV for a couple weeks to see, can we get Punk clear before
Right.
SummerSlam, before we
And
promote the
supposedly
match
they're going to be bringing Drew back with Punk next week with Adam Pearce and doing some type of sit down, but we'll see if that even happens.
And again, if they're talking about it, they're not going to know how to write that until the day of. Okay, is Punk cleared? No, he's not cleared. Okay, no action.
Yeah.
And this is the writing for how they're going to handle that promo, right? And then they will shuffle it off another week. They'll target the rest of the show around everything else and just kind of keep that very low key. And then they'll wait until the go home show to Raw to be like, is Punk clear? If it's a yes, then we're gonna greenlight the match, and they're having the match. If he's not clear, we got to pivot to whatever our plan B is, so that we can either have Drew and Seth go at it again. I don't know. I don't really know why, because they had their match at WrestleMania, right? And there's no world heavyweight title in that picture. So it's kind of like, okay, Drew has been chasing after Punk all this time, and then he went and laid out Punk in Chicago on SmackDown. Basically, again, they had to write that in because Punk was supposed to be getting cleared sooner, and still not clear. Okay, let's write him off, and then let's write Drew into the Money in the Bank storyline, and then let's have him win the briefcase, and then have Punk cost him the cash, and just to further that all along. And I really don't think, I don't remember if I said this earlier. I'm so sorry. But I don't think that I was talking about the previous briefcase, the most recent ones about the longevity and stuff. I really do believe that with Cody Rhodes holding the title well past next year's WrestleMania, because let's face it, he's holding it for at least a year. If they had him finally beat Roman Reigns, he is holding that belt for a while, right? And I feel like if Gunther is winning that world championship, the world heavyweight title at SummerSlam, he's holding it through WrestleMania. And I just want to say, we got both of the main titles change hands at this past year's WrestleMania. So don't be surprised if at next year's WrestleMania they're both retained, just to keep Cody's reign pushing forward and Gunther's reign pushing on. You have Gunther that's just this monster. Call him a heel. I think that he's almost like on a Brock Lesnar level where people want to see him, right? He's just that kind of an attraction. And Cody is your face of the company, right? So you've got nice guys at the top there where I don't see either of them losing at Mania next May.
Definitely.
And we know we're getting The Rock again. And we know if it's... I right now, because when Cheyenne found out that John Cena was coming back next year, she was like, oh, are we going to get him and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the title? And I was like, yeah, I don't think they're going that way. And then the more I thought about it, I said to her the next day, we were coming home yesterday on our 4-hour trip, and I'm driving, and I just turned over and I was like, you know that thing you said about John Cena facing Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? I think you're probably right. She's like, you better give me
Yeah,
credit
there
on
you
the
go.
freaking podcast.
Yeah, because I
So
liked
here
your
it is.
thing you said about it, because it could just turn into like, oh well, it could be like the fact like, oh well, this is my chance to get my 17th, championship, and something like that could go down with that.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's the only way that we would be like, maybe Cody does lose if they want to give Cena number 17 to break the record and be
Yeah.
elevated in to the greatest of all time situation. Um, I guess the thing with that is just,
Mm-hmm.
how long does Cena hold the title for at that point if he were to win? I mean, I was gonna say, do you want to talk about who Cena might be facing? But I think we
Yeah.
can save that conversation until we get to like January, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's let the rest of this year pan out. Um, but I definitely, I initially had Cody versus The
Mm-hmm.
Rock as like, okay, you got to put Cody over The Rock. And then I was like, okay, if you really want to cement Cody Rhodes, you have him finally dethrone Roman Reigns, right? And initially I was like, okay, you have him go beat The Rock the next year at WrestleMania. Boom. He's the guy. Um, and now I'm like, okay, you have him beat John Cena at WrestleMania, and then you have him beat The Rock at the next year's WrestleMania. I'm like, The Rock's going to
Yeah.
be 60, right? Before he finally is just done wrestling. Clearly, the guy can still go. And I think that him being on the board in TKO, maybe he is dialing back his action movie roles. So if he wants to do more in-ring stuff, and by in-ring stuff, I mean he was only in the ring actively
Mm-hmm.
for night one of the tag match of WrestleMania. Yeah, he came out night two and he got chokeslammed
Right.
by the Undertaker, which he didn't even get that high off the ground. And I think we know why that is, right? You got to protect him. The guy is,
Right.
if he's not 50, he's almost 50.
I'm gonna say 49. If he's not 50, he's definitely either 49 or 49 or 51. I think he's 49 because I know Taker and Austin are over that. So I think Rock is a little younger than both of them. He might be 49 or just turned 50.
Yeah, 52. You were close.
Very close, yeah.
But like Hulk Hogan was 55, 56. I think Taker was 56 and Sting was. But again, these guys when they're in their 50s are like, I just have to show up and sell the match, and then when it comes time to doing the match, you just have to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're going to get The Rock versus Roman Reigns, which that match has to happen, and I think that you need to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to get Cody Rhodes versus The Rock at WrestleMania 42, it's like, can The Rock still go kind of thing? If not, that doesn't need to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we're definitely getting the match. I just kind of expected it to be. I mean, I guess ultimately we're probably going to get it at the Royal Rumble, if I had to guess, because I can't see The Rock wrestling after WrestleMania 41. I think he needs to get his match in with Roman and be like, okay, I am actually done.
Yeah,
right?
He'll be the next one to definitely, throw his boots down and be like, I'm done. So obviously it's going to be before Cena, but he'll be one of the next ones to, give the signal that I'm done.
Yeah. So I think as of now, you have The Rock and Cody Rhodes at Royal Rumble, right? Which makes sense because Raw goes to Netflix, and then you have The Rock and Cody Rhodes on Raw, which I don't I don't even know how you do that because Cody Rhodes is on SmackDown. Because they did what? They just did the draft, right?
Yeah, within the last 2 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know we are going so far out of context of like the actual Money in the Bank pay-per-view itself, so I do apologize. I think the Cena thing makes it very interesting, and I tend to believe we get Cody and The Rock at Royal Rumble, and then we get Cody and John Cena at WrestleMania. And what you do with Cody after that is like, okay, he's a made man, so he's the one at the top holding the brass ring, and everybody's chasing to get on his level
Yeah.
at that point, right? And again, you can run Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins back at any time, and you know they're going to put on a great match. It's just a matter of like, hey, don't overdo it so much in a short amount of time, right? Damian Priest is still the champion. Seth Rollins, I didn't think that they were going to give it to him just because he did come off of the knee surgery. Like, he just recovered. Like, that just doesn't make sense in WWE logic to have someone coming back off of injury to give them a title. Like, that didn't make sense. So I was like, Damian's probably retaining, but almost definitely losing to Gunther. I think that they had the backstage segment with Damian offering Seth another match just to get us to think like, okay, maybe Damian does pull one out against Gunther.
Right.
It's just a matter of how you get to that finish. I'm not super sure, right?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting match nonetheless. So
yeah, and we'll talk about that when we do our SummerSlam prediction show.
100%.
Okay, women's Money in the Bank match. Holy smokes!
Obviously, match of the night.
Match of the night. Spot Fest USA.
Yeah.
Right.
The women actually definitely put on a show, and they didn't let anything go. You know, there was a lot of good talent in this one, and for them doing a lot of the things that you've never seen. And I think they said this was the 8th women's ladder match or the women's money for the Money in the Bank, something like that. We can fact check that, but I would definitely say this is the best ladder match that I've seen for a women's competition ever. There just the it went obviously a typical women's speed. It wasn't as fast as the guys, but there was one botch or two. Zoe Stark tried to do one of her things off the ropes, and she totally missed Valkyria and just bumped her head on the ring. So that was definitely, I'm like, okay, well, it was good until you hit that one, but let's pick this back up, people. So
that was not good. And I think a couple of the ladder spots were not projected. Like the Alabama Slam to Naomi, I was just like, ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think she landed exactly where she was supposed to. And I'm like, she could have gotten really hurt.
Definitely.
Really hurt. But again, let's just run through the women in the match. Zoe Stark, Naomi, Lyra Valkyria, Io Sky, Chelsea Green, and Tiffany Stratton. I think you and I both had Tiffy Time winning this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you said if not, maybe Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, that was my hard second because she's been, being like at any little bit on Raw, they were talking about it since her debut. So made you think, okay, they're gonna give her something. So yeah.
And then your third was Chelsea Green, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild to me that she is I don't know if she's married to Zack Ryder, but I know that they are definitely together.
I think they're married.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm gonna say they're married. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Io Sky Michinoku driver to Zoe Stark from the top of the ladder onto the balance ladder.
Brutal.
It was the best, dude. I was just
literally, I thought Zoe like landed on her head.
I was like, run it back
Yeah.
again. You gotta run that back again.
Yeah, there's so many good spots and so many, like, again, they didn't hold anything back. They definitely tried to just, go out of their way to not that women's matches are there's always men's that are not as entertaining either, but they definitely came out there trying to prove like, hey, we can put on a good match and a ladder match too. So I definitely got to give my props to all the ladies that were involved in that match, and it was definitely top contender for probably one of the best matches of the year so far,
Easily.
in the top
And
five at
again,
least right now.
and I think it is a matter of it's 6 women in the match that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to pull out as great of a match as it was. That definitely
It was
helps
very
bump it
diverse, and
up
I
the
think
ladder a
that's
little bit.
what makes it good. Like, you don't. I was telling you that there wasn't many, well-known superstars in that. Like, they didn't need to pull from like the full horsewomen to make something relevant to going into that match. They had I mean, there were some mid-carders, there were some uh ladies that were making it more into the higher ups, and then Chelsea Green kind of being like mid-card Joker type you know character, but there
Yeah,
wasn't
and you
like a Hall of Fame, a potential Hall of Famer right now in there eventually.
no,
So
and you had Naomi in the match that you knew wasn't winning
yeah,
it, but
they all did their part.
she
They all did it really well. They knew where they needed to be, and yeah, perfect match. And congrats to Tiffy Time.
yeah, I think she's going to hold on to that briefcase
I
for a
think so
while,
too.
and she's just going to play it up, and it makes total
Unless she
sense.
does
It
something at
like
SummerSlam, because we had Bailey versus Naomi. I mean, Bailey versus Nia Jax, and I know Tiffany is, uh, ride or die with Nia Jax right now. So we could get a surprise cash in from her once, Bailey and Nia Jax, depending on the situation. With that, again, we'll do more, but this is my thing for right now: is Nia Jax could beat Bailey, and they're just beaten to a pulp. Tiffany comes in, cashes on Nia Jax, and that's how she gets it. Because they were saying like, oh well, Nia Jax is going for the championship. If you win the championship, if you win the briefcase, are you going to cash in on her? It's like, well, she's my girl, blah blah. But in a way, like, business is business in a way. So it could happen, it could not happen. So you never know. It could happen in SummerSlam, or like you said, she could have it for the long haul. Nia Jax could hold on to it with Tiffany by her side, knowing she has the money in the bank, but Nia Jax playing that manipulation card, saying like, "Yeah, you'll never cash it in on me."
that's right. I forgot that Tiffy and Nia are like in cahoots, and I said I actually like
I'd
that.
rather them play the long haul of uh, yeah, I won't cash in on you, blah blah blah. But like, then it just starts getting into you know some type of,
There's
yeah,
dissension,
discord,
right?
dissension into it, and then something happens instead of it just being the obvious. Hey, yeah, just like another Drew thing. Just instead of doing the obvious, slow roll it, slow burn it through the next couple months, and then take it in there.
And the good thing with that is, yeah, let Nia Jax win it, like because Bailey with the belt isn't doing anything for anybody, right? Unfortunately, because we do like Bailey. Um, I just think her with the belt, I think all of the interest has been in, Rhea, Becky. Rhea goes out, Becky wins, Liv wins. Now Rhea's back after injury. So all of the focus and creative is on the Raw Women's title, right? So, which is the Women's World title, the SmackDown Women's Championship, which is now the Women's WWE title that Bailey holds. There's just nothing going on with it. So I'm like, yeah, give it to Nia Jax, okay? Because you have this whole interesting dynamic happening with Liv and Rhea over here
Yeah,
on Raw. Just let Nia Jax take it and let her and Tiffy together just run it out for a few months. Let Nia have like a long heel run with the belt, because I think when she won it before, she didn't hold those title. Like, I think she won the title once or twice, but she didn't have them for very
Now,
long at all.
I think Alexa Bliss won it off for one of the times with the Money in the Bank. I think there was a time that was one of the ones that she took it from
I think
Nia Jax.
I think actually I think Nia was face and Alexa Bliss was a heel, and Nia
Yeah, it makes
Nia won
sense.
it off of her then, and then I think Ronda Rousey faced Nia Jax and beat her, and that was the last time that um Nia Jax was champion, which is like years and years and years, maybe 5 years ago at this point. So I'm like, all right, let Nia Jax have the belt for a few months and give her a little run. Let her have a few solid matches where she looks definitely dominant. They had her going in there up against Rhea Ripley, and I was like, you better not let Nia Jax go over Rhea Ripley, or I'll throat punch someone, right?
Yeah. Right.
The final match is Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens against the Bloodline, which is Solo, Tamatanga, and Jacob Fatu. Apparently, lots of issues getting Jacob Fatu into Canada, but nonetheless, made it happen, which was essential because he played such a crucial role in the match.
Yeah.
But-
We figured we were going to get a lot of him since that was his debut match
and
in WWE, so you were going to see a lot of him.
Samoan Werewolf, I mean, my goodness. They weren't wrong about being apprehensive to bring him in because they thought he might overshadow Solo. There it was, right?
Right.
Which is fine. You've had stables before where the leader wasn't as strong as like your henchman guy that was just your monster guy, right? The original Wyatt family, right? Like, obviously you had Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, who were way bigger than Bray, but Bray was their leader, and then enter Braun Strowman, right?
Right.
So Jacob Fatu being such a powerhouse and Solo not maybe living up to his, beast mode level. I don't think that's too much of an issue as long as you have him basically not talking and then just showing up and crushing everybody. He's like their secret weapon, right? Because the other two guys that they've brought in, Tamatanga and Tangaloa, I'm just like, yeah, they're strong, but like I don't care about them.
Right.
And I guess because they are just so new and fresh that it's like they're just there. I don't know. The match overall was fine, minus the botched low blow to Kevin Owens.
I noticed that. Yeah, I'm like, okay, right in the taint,
Yeah,
and then right in the balls.
literally.
But yeah, I wasn't really too into this match to begin with, and I was really even 50-50 on who was going to win. But ultimately, I just picked the Bloodline because I'm like, all right, you had this new Bloodline. Why are you going to make them lose their first match? If you're going to give them any purpose to set them up for the OG Bloodline, they have to win some matches. They have to be taken as serious. So they're going to find some way to win this match, even though you would want to see Cody. But this doesn't hurt him at all because it's not a title defense, and it's not going to hurt his repertoire in any way.
And I think ultimately it was just to set up what they've basically said was penciled in was Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa is like the match for SummerSlam, which makes total sense why you would have Solo pin Cody Rhodes to set the match up for SummerSlam to set up the Roman Reigns return, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Writing's on the wall right there. That seems to be the way that they're moving, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, we don't have to talk about the match too much because again, it was just kind of there to be there to make the new Bloodline look stronger, and to get Solo pinning Cody.
I don't think there was really much to the match. It was just meh. It was pretty meh to me. Just like, okay, it gave Jacob Fatu a good debut, get him affiliated and acclimated to the audience, and just showing the dominance of the bloodline. So that's that with that. On that, what did you guys think of Money in the Bank? Let us know in your comments. Thank you all for everybody who's been tuning in with a lot of the wrestling talk over the last couple weeks, and continue to let us know what you think, and what we should be reacting to, other things we can talk about, and just continue to let us know. Hit us up with a Gmail and everything, and I think if we're no further with that, we can probably get into some House of the Dragon real quick.
Yeah, I was just waiting to see if you were trying to like wrap this up because I know it's late for you.
Season 2, episode 1. The biggest thing to take out of that is I would say the first thing that comes to mind out of that is the ending of that first episode, the blood and cheese type of thing. Thing. I heard a lot of things through the last couple months leading up to the season that this big scene was possibly going to be in season 2, but it probably wasn't going to be until like maybe episodes 2 or 3. So when they started letting the rat chaser or rat catcher, and Damon started talking to those guys, I'm like, okay, is this going to be it? So then they started running through. I'm like, oh, this is going to be it. They're going to, go up and find Helena, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I was very surprised they put that in the ending. But again, Game of Thrones-esque, they have to always, give you a big, epic thing in that first episode to really catch you on and say, hey, show's back, get excited.
Yeah, and I think it was perfectly done, honestly.
Yeah.
I knew I had read that blood and cheese was a thing like after season 1 happened, and in the time leading up to season 2, I didn't go out of my way to read up on anything because I didn't want to see anything that had spoiled.
Yeah,
because
I stayed off a lot of stuff, even like shorts that are like talking about more of the Dance of the Dragons. I try not to see
Yeah.
a lot of those because they spoil a lot of things.
I did
that
the
are
same
in the
thing.
books.
I did the
So I
same thing.
tried to stay away from stuff, even if it goes into like elongated stuff about Aegon and Rhaenyra, anybody that's involved in the show right now. Like I try to stay away from it because even though it's already written in books, we kind of know a little bit about the ending and what's going to happen, but I'm more interested in how they're going to write it off and not just give us what we already know. So
Right. And yeah, I had read something years ago because I was just kind of reading into. I think I saw a picture of someone sitting on the Iron Throne. Not going to say who it was.
yeah,
And they were telling the story as to what got them there.
yeah,
And I'd read a spoiler and I was like, okay. And I was like, I mean, the story's already written. I feel like a lot of people might know how this is gonna conclude. But
yeah.
again, we're all here to see it like on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we got everything, not everything. We got what we've been waiting for this whole time in the newer episode. Let's get into episode 2.
Yeah.
I mean, my bigger takeaway from that one, you still had the stuff with Queen Allison and Kristen Cole kind of going on,
Mm-hmm.
but then kind of dialing it down a little bit, which I guess that you said the biggest takeaway was blood and cheese in episode 1. I think that their dynamic and all that stuff that was happening was like also really big, right? We like didn't expect that to happen. Yeah, and then episode 2, it was we had the Eric brothers, right?
That was the second episode. So the Eric twins getting into a fight, which again, I think we all kind of knew Rhaenyra was not going to be killed off that quickly because we kind of know somewhat of the ending of to the series, but we knew she obviously wasn't going to be killed off. But the fact that the that the castle was so easily to be penetrated to get in so quickly. Now it's like, okay, everybody's on edge. Like, okay, that okay, now we got to start making our forces even more impactful because, what if that happens again? What if it gets into more people? So, yeah, I'd say that was probably the biggest part of the episode. And then you get the fact that everybody's taking Rhaenyra as this, child killer now, when it was more Daemon's wrongdoing, because he's like, hey, son for a son, whoever you find, just kill somebody. If it's not Aemond, kill somebody. Like,
Yeah, and
I haven't seen action in forever. Just kill somebody.
and you get the whole dissension with Daemon and Rhaenyra, and then
Which was a great scene, by the way.
Yeah, so, I mean, Matt Smith and Emma Darcy are doing a knockout job in the show. And as I think, really, there's not anybody on the show where I'm like, okay, they kind of suck. Like, the acting and storytelling is just off the charts. It's so good.
They're doing really good with dialogue, and just at least we don't have to necessarily worry about time jumps this season, because everything's pretty much within a couple days. I think they literally said in episode 4 that just came, like, I think Allison said within the last like 9-10 days my husband had passed and all this other stuff is going on. So it really hasn't been that much time since Viserys has passed. So a lot of things have gone down since that time.
There's been more time between us getting from one episode to the other than it's actually happening in real time on the show. Like, it's actually happening in a much shorter time span, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's understandable how the first season had to really just do a lot of time jumps to get a lot of the story, built up to get to season 2 to, get to where we are now, to understand why these two families are, feuding, and why each has their reasons for it. And now the fact that Hightower and Alicent, after Aegon was crowned, now they're seeing how Aegon was starting to really act immature and not necessarily take it serious, but like acting more of his age, and like, oh, did we do the right thing? Because we thought we can probably control him a lot better, but now he wants to do everything that he wants to do. And getting into, like, again, kind of skipping a couple episodes, but Allison was saying to Aegon the fact that you're really just supposed to just be in the small councils and not say anything, and just listen to all your councilmen so you can learn something.
That's from the new episode.
Yeah.
I think the big thing that I missed in episode 2 was when Aegon stripped Otto Hightower of his hand clip,
and Kristen Cole became the worst hand of the king.
Literally the worst hand of the king of all time.
Even Cole's like, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that was the big takeaway there. And you have the scene with Otto and Alicent, and Alicent tries to confess to him that, like, she been doing the thing.
She's been doing the dang. He's like, I don't want to hear it. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
He's like, I don't want to know. And it's probably because he already knew, and he didn't want her to say it.
Yeah.
So I think it was like, okay, Otto leaves. Kristen Cole comes in to Allison's chamber, and
I don't gotta wear my cloak no more.
Yep. And he was like, okay, get over here. And she was like, yeah, okay, take me.
Me.
Yeah. Then we get to episode 3, and I was pretty disappointed because I thought we were getting what happened in episode 4 in episode 3, and
Yeah.
I really think that the show maybe had planned to do things sooner, but maybe they got signed on for the 4th season and they were like, okay, let's stretch this out, especially in case if they sign us on for a 5th season,
Right.
then they can stretch out and do even more to help build up the storyline,
Yeah.
which I think when we talk about WWE and we talk about the matches are just like a part of the movie that they're
Yes.
building. I think it just also is for an audience that is into really compelling TV and storytelling and stuff that really like jogs their brain and is interesting. House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, they've got the best storytelling, and I think after the success of Game of Thrones, we get to House of the Dragon, and everybody that's involved in that is like, okay, we've got a huge set of shoes to fill.
Yes.
Like, so everything is top tier from production to the acting. It does also help that this story is already complete, right? Whereas Game
Yeah.
of Thrones was an unfinished story,
Right.
and I pretty sure I talked about that when we did the season 1 review 2 years ago,
Mhm.
right? So now these 4 episodes in season 2 have made me so much more invested in the show, and I think it's because season 1 we got all of the background, all of the storytelling, all of the time jump stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Character development, getting to know each one, where this one's coming from, where that one's coming from. Now
Yeah.
you're getting into the meat and potatoes of like the whole actual like dragon like battles and where it's all coming from. And uh the end of episode 3 where Rhaenyra and Allison meet.
Yeah,
That was
Rhaenyra sneaks into King's Landing
yeah.
and makes her way all the way up through the Red Keep because that the girl that is like basically held captive on Dragonstone, who Rhaenyra basically set free,
Right.
and then she ran back. I think because she saw
The other
the Eric
Eric's twin,
the
yeah.
other Eric coming off the boat, and she turned around and was like, "Whoa, wait!" and started running back to the castle.
Yeah, that was the episode 2 ending.
Yep.
And then that made Rhaenyra in episode 3 want to go meet Allison. Like, hey, we need to try to talk about this, and like, because this is going to be getting out of control. This be out of control.
And the biggest thing was, Rhaenyra was saying to Allison, like, he told you the Song of Ice and Fire. He was talking about Aegon the Conqueror, and the prince that was promised was from, like Aegon the Conqueror's dream.
Yeah.
Right. And Allison at that point was just trying to say, it doesn't matter. It's too late. Like the war is already happening and it can't be stopped because Allison has no control over what Aegon and the council's doing.
But I think she even started thinking like, oh crap, I think we definitely have made a mistake. But even if I was able to say anything, it's too late. But
well, and episode 4 was really Allison just in her head about like what
yeah.
like going to find Viserys's like old history books, and Aegon saying, I had them removed. He probably just had them sent off to the Citadel.
Yeah. Now did you catch her in the beginning? Like she's she had that drink and then she's putting like those hot stones to her stomach.
Oh yeah, she was definitely pregnant with Kristen Cole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying too.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you trying to kill the baby.
Yeah, and then Sir Weird Foot stuff.
Yes, their
strong
foot fetish.
Yeah. He definitely comes in and sees it.
Yeah.
And Allison's not saying anything, and it's because
that's a tasty beverage you got there. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Don't tell me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over here pro-choicing.
Yeah.
Judge me.
But that was something that I saw right off the bat. I'm like, yeah, she's definitely trying to kill. and kill.
and
But
kill.
Ayo.
Ayo.
But yeah,
Yeah,
and then Kristen Cole, episode 4, he's like, "Hey, I'm starting to just take advantage of this. Let me start." And then we get into the Battle of Rook's Rest, and that whole what I think it was like the last like 20 minutes of the
Yeah,
episode.
I heard the episode was supposed to be like 15 minutes of dialogue and 45 minutes of battle. And so it's getting 35 minutes into the episode, and I'm like, are we really not getting this again? I started getting
Yeah.
really bent. And then I just want to talk about, before we talk about the battle at Rook's Rest, like the dissension between Aemond and Aegon.
Yeah.
That storytelling,
That's going to be played out a lot, I think, these next couple episodes too.
I think it's going to play out for a lot of the show to come. And they built it so well with Aemond and Kristen Cole were kind of chatting about stuff, and then Otto Hightower walks in the room and he's like, "What are you two talking about?" He's like, "You shouldn't be conspiring with each other without the rest of the council," kind of thing. I think Aegon catches them all talking about stuff, and he's like, this was a couple episodes ago, and then he finds Aemond at the brothel with his first, and he's like really laying into him, and Aemond's like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna get you for that," and he literally just embarrasses him by speaking in High Valyrian, because Aegon clearly didn't pay attention when he was learning how to speak High Valyrian, because he couldn't even speak it.
No.
Like,
You
when
can
they
even
were
see in the
showing the
dialogue,
High
it was
Valyrian,
just kind of like broken English, but like still like broken High Valyrian. And he's like, "All right, you got me."
yeah. And Aemond was just like, "Yeah, you are a shit king, man." Like, definitely got it.
Because especially in season 1, when they were trying to find Aemond was always like, he was saying like, if Aegon doesn't seem to get found, they're gonna probably come looking for me, and I expect to be found, because I don't mind being on the throne if I have to be.
Right.
So because he like with the High Valyrian, he took that serious. He learned a lot. He rides the biggest dragon. He really paid attention to the history of and knowledge of the Targaryens. So if it were to be picked between those two brothers, Aemon would be the better fit, because he has a lot more knowledge to it, where Aegon was just living. He didn't care about any of that stuff. Just kind of just was, living under the castle of, the riches and royalty. But, then I think he just, once he was crowned, he saw the sense of power that came with it, and he's like, "All right, this shit's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
let's see how this goes." And then, but then you can see the Joffrey start really getting into him, where he's drunk all the time, and then he's like, "All right, well, I got this sense of power. I'm the king. I can do what I want." But he doesn't have the vicious side of Joffrey, but that Joffrey, like, little boy king type of attitude to him. But now he's seeing that a lot of people aren't taking him as serious, so that's turning against him, and he's getting more defensive on that side. And now even his brother is starting to be more defensive around him, knowing that him and Cole are going behind his back and doing battle plans. So that sets him up in episode 4, why he went out on his dragon to try to prove, like, hey, I'm just as good as a fighter as anybody else out there.
Well, he was coming out of that whole thing with Aemond, and then Aemond leaves, and then Aegon is in the council room with the people, and he's just twiddling the ball around in a circle, and he's like, "You all bore me,
Whoopsie.
Boring.
Boring. Yeah. Like, wait, Did he just say that?
Yeah. And then he leaves. He goes and cries to his mom. And then his mom basically just says,
Deal with it.
"You're worthless. You're worthless. Just sit there and do what is expected of you,
Which is
nothing."
nothing. Yeah.
He sits there and keeps drinking, knocks the pitcher off the table, and then, don't drink and fly,
Yeah.
right? He goes to his dragon
DF.
and he's
DDF.
yeah. He he's definitely drunk, if not super hammered. And he's like, "Yeah, okay, put Aegon the Conqueror's armor on me."
Right.
And then he goes on Sunfire, takes off, and then we get Rhaenyra coming back, and everyone wondering where she was, and she tells them, "Yeah, I went to see Alicent." And they were like, "You what?"
Like,
and
and
then
then Jace all like, "You could have been killed." Like, calm down. But I didn't.
Yeah.
Did I? Like,
yeah. So we get Rhaenys electing to take Maerys.
I think it's
Maerys?
Maelys.
Yeah.
Maelys. Yeah.
Maelys, that's it. I mean, she has the most experience on a dragon,
And it's their biggest
and
dragon.
the
Their biggest dragon they have currently.
Yeah, outside of Caraxes, which is with
Yeah.
Daemon up in Harrenhal.
Right.
The last thing, the Daemon Harrenhal stuff. The opening scene to episode 4 is Daemon going into the Iron Throne room, and it's young
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. So good when he's just like,
Yeah.
and then her head is still talking to him. I was like,
There's a raven.
this show. I was like, this show is so
Yeah.
good, so good. All the stuff that they're doing with Daemon and Harrenhal, which we don't have to get into all of that.
Nah, yeah.
I'm super excited to see how that.
Yeah,
all
I just think listening to the inside the episode of it, it's just his time of like trying to learn from his past and what he's had to deal with, because obviously a lot of that stuff from Rhaenyra and Viserys picking Rhaenyra over Daemon, that really took a lot of pain out of him to really think like, oh, well, you're picking her over me, you're picking over your own blood, but then trying to go off of his marriages and then having to relive all this stuff from his past. So he's obviously going to come out of this a totally different person in some way.
Yeah, he's just battling with his inner demons on tenfold right now, right?
So I'm looking forward to seeing how Daemon comes out of it and how he's going to, keep Harrenhal from being taken over from Cole. So, or just anything, if he's going to be able to, use Harrenhal to, take down some of Cole's people, because they obviously their numbers just kind of collapsed from that whole Rook's Rest thing with the dragon battle.
Let's talk about the dragon battle.
Yeah, last thing. So,
dude,
it definitely shows you that it's a totally different battle when it comes, because we got dragon battles, but not like this in Game of Thrones. We had the two dragon we had the dragon battle between the dead dragon and the live dragon in the Long Night. We had that, but this is like between two live dragons and in a battle sense. Never had it before.
Yeah, you have Maelys and Sunfire start, and you have Vhagar and Aemon just waiting in the woods. And I was like, oh,
whoopsie,
this is about to go down. Yeah, this is
it was so good.
So good. And I think Daemon just told Vhagar, okay, not yet, even though Chris and Cole was like, sound the alarms, like send a signal, blow the horns. He sees Sunfire with Aegon coming up, And he tells Vagar, okay, not just yet, just to see if maybe Meleys and Rhaenys can just take Aegon out of the equation, and then Aemon would be next in line
Yeah.
for the throne. Just he's like, okay, cool. They have the little battle sequence, and Meleys is way bigger and just owning Sunfire. And you get Vagar coming through the sky, and I'm
It's
like,
about to go down.
oh
Yeah.
yes, it's about to go down. And then Aegon's like, oh, thank the gods. And Aemon's like, Jakars.
No!
Aegon's like,
Yeah, right. It's like, no, wait, thank you, God.
so, and then
Aegon and
you know,
Sunfire drop.
Sunfire, they wind up, oof. And then we get the battle, but like Meleys and Rhaenys are off, and I think Rhaenys could have been like, okay, retreat.
That's
retreat.
what I thought she was
She was just
doing
like,
at that point, because she, I think, saw like everything was good, but then she probably figured, okay, let's just try to take out more or something. But I figured that would probably be your best time to retreat. You've possibly taken out the king, so
yeah. But I think ultimately she nominated herself to go into that battle to sacrifice herself so that Rhaenyra wouldn't, and so that Jace wouldn't. And she was like, okay, at best, I can at least take out some of the green army that has accrued along its way, to help kind of diffuse the situation a little bit. She goes back, and I'm like, yeah, she's about to die. And then she flies over the castle, and up comes Vagar.
Saw that coming.
And dude,
so
did
good.
I was like, it was really good. I mean, I just think all of the dragon battling that we got in the sky, and the fact that Gwaine Hightower, Allison's brother, that she basically told Cole, yeah, no, he's joining your march to Harrenhal. And Chris Cole's like, what? And Allison's like, I'm the queen.
Right.
Deal with it.
I really don't need him, but okay.
Yeah, well, Gwaine was like, yeah, no, we should attack them at night when it's dark. And Chris Cole's like, exactly. They wouldn't expect it during the day. And Gwaine's like, yeah, it's fucking madness.
Right.
And then I'm just glad that Sir Chris and Cole took them, because we got the fight during the day, so you could actually see, like, the guys on the ground, like the soldiers on the ground, were just looking up like, let them duke it out. This is literally Dance of the Dragons at this point, right? Like, so
yeah, that was definitely something that I think even for Game of Thrones fans, that's something we've been waiting for. I mean, again, I didn't watch Game of Thrones until season 6 or 7, but even then, even coming from then up until now, it's been what, 5-6 years. So we've been waiting for it, and even from people who have started from the very beginning, of Game of Thrones, they've been waiting for what was it, 2008 when it appeared?
Yeah, it took a good 10
we're thinking
years
like
for them
15 plus years for people waiting for like a good dragon battle, and like we finally got something that we can say, like, that they talked about it for so many times in Game of Thrones about the dragon battles and all the dragons of the Targaryen families, and how they used to just, torture the whole, and rule the earth. And now it's like you're finally seeing these things and what they can really do, because
and they gave us that, and I'm like, okay, they finally did it. They finally gave us what we've been waiting for. And they're like, and we're just scratching the surface, because apparently
there's
getting
a lot more dragons that are
way
coming through
more.
this season too.
And I'm like, all right, let's fucking
I'm ready.
Right?
It's good.
I'm like, let's do this.
So again, we brushed a lot of small things into the little review here, but we plan to do a big full episode of season 2, and really dissect a lot of things from the whole season 2 of House of the Dragon. So if you guys want to hear more, make sure you guys are subscribed, so when that episode comes, you get notified. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We post all our clips and little shorts on those, And again, you'll get some updates from them weekly. So, we went over Money in the Bank, went over House of the Dragon, lots of good things coming. We just realized before starting that we have SummerSlam on August 3rd, and then we have the last episode 8 of House of Dragon that next night. So it's going to be interesting how we play that card of which episode we put out first and what is we the second. Do we play House of the Dragon first, or do we do Money in the Bank first? Or maybe we'll ask you guys which you want to see first. Maybe we'll poll it or do something near closer. So let us know. We're always trying to take a little bit of the suggestions from our listeners, and because you guys are what makes this thing go. So other than that, I think we've gone a lot significantly over what we thought, but I think we've rounded it off pretty well. Anything else, bud?
I hope everybody had a great 4th of July
Yeah,
weekend.
that's right. Yeah.
I know I was away, which was good. Just good chance to decompress, and now it's kind of hit the ground running with the rest of the summer, the next 2 months, and then I get back to like my regular schedule. So, yeah, looking forward to it. All the love to everybody, and all the love to you,
Right
brother.
back at you,
Cheers
brother.
to you. All the love, man. Thanks to everybody for tuning in.
This has been 1 sec, guys.